Gerald Seib is the Washington bureau chief for the Wall Street Journal. Good enough to join us here at the desk. Jerry, again, very highly anticipated meeting since it was put on the docket there between Bernie Sanders and the president today. What to expect then from that meeting?
Well, look, I know the hope, I think, both at the White House and in the Clinton camp is that he becomes the bridge that builds the connection between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. There is a connection already. They've talked. There's been more communication between the two campaigns, I think, than people realize. But you still have to close the deal, finish the bridge. Interestingly, Barack Obama has emerged as a guy who's going to try to do that. He's got a lot of incentive to do that because you can tell he's itching to go. He wants to go out, help Hillary Clinton because he does not want his legacy to be Donald Trump, President of the United States.
He also seems to be doing what many in the party have done really in the last few months, especially as the campaign of Bernie Sanders found this momentum, giving Bernie Sanders a wide berth.
Yeah.
Do we expect that whatever is communicated today then between those two men, can we then expect a presidential endorsement of Hillary Clinton?
You absolutely can. The interesting question is going to be how quickly. Yeah. I mean, they do not want, they being the White House and the Clinton campaign, to be seen as having pushed Sanders off the bus. They want him to decide to step down himself. So there's going to be some pressure from the president, but not so much as to kind of get his back up. So there's an interesting, and as far as I can tell, an unanswered question about whether the president can walk out of that meeting and then promptly endorse Hillary Clinton, or if a little more time is needed. If there's more time needed, I think they'll let it happen that way.
Hillary Clinton lauded Bernie Sanders as the consummate competitor in her speech in Brooklyn just a couple of days ago. I know you were there. What are the feelings on the part of the candidate and her campaign with regard to the impact that Bernie Sanders can have positively or negatively?
I don't think there's any doubt that they think he has the potential to be a very positive force for this campaign. In that sense, I don't think they want him to go away. They want him to be an advocate for Hillary Clinton, an advocate particularly with young voters, but also, with the Democratic electorate in general.
Is that is that likely? Which is to say, would it be too much to ask, to expect perhaps that he would become some sort of staunch surrogate for the candidate, or might we just see him become something of a surrogate for the party?
It's probably too much to ask. There's just sort of a scale of options here. The first one is don't be a problem for us. Don't be bashing us, all the way to go out there and be a surrogate for us and appear on the stage. Somewhere in the middle, there's probably the right Bernie Sanders moment. And it's not just Hillary Clinton, by the way. There are a lot of people in the Democratic Party who look at the force that he's captured and want him to help them do the same for their campaign. So he has that potential in a dozen Senate races, not just the presidential campaign.
In the Veep stakes, meanwhile, the time is nigh. Hillary Clinton said that she's just beginning now to take a look at it. Whether or not that's true is anybody's guess. But Bernie Sanders has, in the past, been offended that he wouldn't be considered. We've also heard names like Elizabeth Warren floated in the last day or two. What to make, then, of the short list?
Well, I think we're at this stage in this process where you have to take the short list with a giant grain of salt, because there are people who are genuinely being considered, and there are people who are on the short list as it's being publicly discussed, so that they will feel good about being on the short list. And it is, having been through this a few times, at this point there's no way to separate reality from fiction. There's a short list. How many of those people are legitimate? How many are there because they will feel better having been considered? I find it hard to imagine a Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders ticket, and I find it kind of hard to imagine a Hillary Clinton Elizabeth Warren ticket.
You do? Harry Reid has said he wants Warren.
He wants Warren. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's just that I think that if you're looking for a vice president who you can control, I don't think you'd pick either Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. If you think that's what you're going to do, you're probably kidding yourself. And I think the imperative will probably be to pick somebody who's a little safer than that. But who knows? It's a strange year. Everything that everybody, including me, has predicted has been wrong. So who knows?
Elizabeth Warren, if nothing else, has been a very willing attack dog. She has been the one to line up Donald Trump throughout this process. The historic nature, meanwhile, of Hillary Clinton ascending now to the top of a major party ticket. perhaps it was just that there was something of the fait accompli about it. How do you frame the history that we saw?
Well, look, I think to some extent the historic nature of the moment was eclipsed by a couple of things. One was the fact that Barack Obama 8 years ago broke the even tougher ceiling by making himself the first African American nominee. So the first woman seems, not quite as momentous by comparison. And secondly, I think the fact that the victory was hard won, and it wasn't exactly by consensus. And there are a lot of young people who look at this sort of thing and think, what's the big deal? Why should we be surprised there's an African American president and a woman being nominated? That's the way the world is supposed to look. So, that's true now, is probably more true now than it was 8 years ago.
It speaks to a very interesting social climate right now, perhaps the trumping of populism over all else, turning then to the GOP. We've seen the Trump campaign beset by problems, really self-inflicted issues with regard to Donald Trump's comments about Judge Curiel. And yet, as Scott Pelley pointed out just last night, 2 million people went and voted for him on Tuesday. Who are those voters?
It's a question we've all tried to get our arms around. All I can tell you is that, based on the dialogue that I have with some readers who are Trump supporters, there are all kinds of people. It's not the stereotypical, low-income white males. There's plenty of those out there, but there are a lot of more intelligent people, higher income people, not more intelligent, higher income people who have decided that they just think the system doesn't work for anybody anymore, and Donald Trump is the hope for changing the system, and that's enough.
And so racist comments, and this is his comments have been attacked by GOP leadership, which in the last 2 to 3 weeks had tepidly endorsed him, but certainly charges of racism have dogged Donald Trump throughout this campaign. He has doubled down here with these specific comments. Will they stick?
I think the current controversy over the judge has a better chance of sticking than earlier ones, because it's taken him to a new place. It's taken him to a spot in which the issue isn't immigration, it's ethnicity, and that's a different place to be. And I think that's troublesome for a lot of people. But you have to say that Donald Trump has proven to be a master at creating and then walking past controversies, and in fact benefiting from them. Who knows that this one will be different?
Jerry Seib, we appreciate the insights. You make us better.
Thank you very
Thanks
much. It's nice of you.